Previously on
Straight Outta Compton.
Basically, me and Eric, we met at a burrito place called Ramona's in Gardena. I said, how much you getting it for? And he told me. And I told him, I said, I can beat that price. In 85. I got out in 85 because I bailed out. But Ruthless wasn't really cracking then.
And I remember World Class Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, I was around back then.
Yeah. That's when you were around,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And you knew Dre from the neighborhood.
Yeah, from the neighborhood.
Okay,
yeah.
And y'all both were DJing and making.
Really Eric? Eric really good.
Eric was one of my clients back then.
Eazy-E.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you fuck with me or you got out of business.
Okay.
And Eazy came to me. Mm-hmm. I got his weight up, got his money right.
Yeah.
And he being around us, he expressed his interest for music.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then that led to one thing, and here you go, Eazy-E.
So the World Class Wrecking Crew was managed by, and one of the members was a guy named Alonzo Williams, who I feel certainly one of the most important West Coast pioneers of rap music.
Dre had hyped Jerry up to Eazy so much because we did our CBS deal. Jerry found some money at the Musicians Union that we didn't know we had. And Jerry was my manager at the time and a friend. And I told him, I got this guy I want to meet you. Jerry didn't want to meet him.
I kept saying to him, yeah, what does he want to do? What does he do? And this and that. And he said, well, he's a dope dealer. And I said, yeah, I'm just not, it's not what I'm about, man, He kept saying, he said, come on, you got to meet this guy. You got to meet him. I said, why? He said, he offered me $750 to meet you, and I need the money. So I said, okay. So I said, March 3rd of 87, I said, I'm going to be at Michel'le at 2:30. Have this guy come over, and I'll talk to him. So Eric drives up in a Suzuki Samurai all tricked out with MC Ren. He didn't say one word, just handed me a cassette. So I put it on, and I heard,
I am a guy friend that's named Suge Knight, and he's a football player up in UNLV. Anyway, me and him become friends since I'm a bodyguard and I'm lifting 400 on the bench and he's a bodyguard and he's trying to get off in the music industry, and Big West turns him out to be a bodyguard too, except he goes a step beyond that. He takes the concept and move it to the Bloods and let them know, look.
I'm one of the few that can say we all went to the same elementary, same junior high school, and the same high school. In Las Vegas, where he was being a bouncer, because he was a popular guy at UNLV, and he got into an altercation working a nightclub as security, and a guy got shot, and he got arrested for that case, but he eventually beat that case and was just told, get out of Vegas.
Okay, so he eventually beat it, but I guess they went to go get him.
Okay,
to the 49ers practice field.
It was one of the, don't quote me on it, it was either the 49ers or the Rams.
What was it like during those early NWA days?
Family.
Yeah? You liked it?
We loved it. Everybody, we piggybacked, we helped each other. When D.O.C came into the picture, we just was a family. There was no animosity, no jealousy. And then it eventually crept in.
You are now about to witness the strength of street knowledge.
Jerry was never a partner in Ruthless Records. He was just a manager, right?
That was the verbiage. Yeah, he was supposed to be the Eazy-E's. I work for Ruthless.
Okay, what was really going on?
Well, my whole thing is this, and I'm a business person. I've always been, even when I was young, I'm fair. Whatever is supposed to be mine, just give me mine. I ain't asking for more. I don't want yours. I don't want 10 times that. But the deal was when we started NWA and we started Ruthless Records, we were all supposed to share in Ruthless Records. Ruthless Records was our label. It wasn't Jerry's label. It wasn't Eazy's label. It was our label.
So you were supposed to be a partner
in
Ruthless Records?
Yeah, as well as Ren and Cube and Yella. It was supposed to be a shared family thing.
Really? Because I've always seen it as an Eazy thing.
Yeah, because when Jerry got involved, it became a business thing where when you got a bunch of dudes that are homies together and you start a company, this is us. Like we would literally go to Michel'le Records and just get records. And whatever you sold, that was your money.
You know what? I kind of think that it was a test because there was a lot of controversy at that time. All of a sudden, the wave of popularity kicked in. Things kind of changed.
Okay. So there was no actual paperwork, any
there was
partnership,
no contracts,
corporation?
No, because it was just us. It was just supposed to be us.
Okay.
And then, like I said, like in the movie, when Jerry got involved, he did a contract for Eazy, but didn't do contracts for nobody else until later.
So when Eazy signed his deal with Priority Records, it seemed like the deal, I mean, based on the movie and based from what I heard, it seemed like Priority just signed directly with Eazy. It didn't seem like they had a deal with Dre and anybody else.
Right, Ruthless.
Ruthless,
right.
Exactly.
I wasn't privy to all the details of that, but I understand that was because they had another album called NWA and the Posse. That was at Michel'le. Initially started at Michel'le. Picked up Stephen Michel'le.
Yeah.
And Don wasn't paying and nobody trusted him, so Jerry snatched it from Michel'le and took it to Priority, and that's where it blew up at. That's when everything else developed.
I interviewed Michel'le. Did you see any of the violence between Dre and Michel'le? Now, you had mentioned there was some abuse that kind of happened between you and Dre.
Yeah.
How bad did it get?
I had 5 black eyes.
5 black eyes.
Yes.
So you were getting punched in the face and
I was getting dragged on the floor, shot at. Yeah.
Shot at?
Yeah.
No.
They
had just. In fact, when I heard they had gotten intimate, they all were out of here by the end. You know, they were pretty much, they already moved on, so I never seen any of the beats by Dre.
Now, how did you and Dr. Dre originally meet?
At 16, they were in the World Class Wrecking Crew, and they had a lead singer. Her name was Mona Lisa, and she couldn't make it one night. And so Lonzo called me to fill in, and I did, and I was 16, and I just walked in the studio, waved to them, and Dre was the engineer / producer, and they gave me a piece of paper and said, sing this. So I had to make up the melody and everything, because, you know, I didn't tell them I wasn't a professional. It was my first time in the studio and everything, but I didn't say anything. And that's when I first met him. And the only ones were there was Yella, Dre, and Lonzo.
I had to bribe them to turn off the lights. We did the song, and all of a sudden, they just kind of disappeared. Well, I think what really, really put broke the camel's back, the straw that broke the camel's back was when, after I did turn off the lights, with Michel'le.
Yeah.
Michel'le, the song came out, and rumor has it that whoever had Michel'le signed to a production deal had a deal waiting for him at Atlantic Records. And although I discovered Michel'le, I'm the reason why she got her voice heard to the world. Her and Dre had become intimate, and he convinced her to sign the Ruthless. I didn't know that.
Dre didn't ask me to sign, Eazy did. Eazy said, don't you? He just one day came in the office, and I'm waiting because they were going over some NWA stuff. And with Jerry was there, and he said, don't you sing? And I said, well, yeah, because I've been doing hooks and have been doing skits and everything, especially on the Compton swap meet. Remember those tapes? I'm all over those. So he was like, don't you sing? And I said, yeah, but you know, I was quiet still. I wasn't talkative. And he said, yeah, so then he said, you want to sign? And so I looked up at Dre because I always look for approval. I really didn't talk unless he... And he said, you want to? And I went, okay.
and then that
was it.
That's how the deal went. So you didn't have lawyers or anything else like that? You just put a contract in front of you?
I totally trusted Jerry because I saw how well he was taking care of, you know, everybody. We were kids from the ghetto. We were young kids.
Yeah.
You know, to me, he took us and he embraced us. He gambled on us.
Yeah.
Sometimes when you gamble and you spend a lot of money, you got to make what you want back. He took a big chance on us. We were driving $60,000, $70,000 cars from catching buses to even Dr. Dre having no car at all. Come on, you want something.
So Jerry Heller was actually putting money into the label, like his own money, or?
Well, him and Eazy.
He and I put up all the money. I put up the money for the tour. These guys didn't have credit cards or anything. I bought all the plane tickets. I paid for the sets. But let's just put that aside.
Him and Eazy. You know, Eazy, they want to say he was selling dope. I don't know what he was selling out of his thing, but it was working.
Sure.
You know, I don't know what it was, but I know he was selling tapes out of the trunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what was it like during those early NWA days?
Family.
Yeah.
And that's what wasn't represented in the film is the family side of it. Like, we was all like family. We used to have fun, man. Like in the studio, they showed, like, I think they touched on it like in a little montage for like 30 seconds, like people messing around in the studio. We just had fun.
You know, there was no animosity, no jealousy. And then it eventually crept in. But in the beginning, no, it was beautiful. Sure. We wanted to get up and go to the studio. We wanted to go see Jerry today. You know what I mean? He just took good care of us. I mean, they could say what they want. I mean, you know.
No, I got you. You liked it.
Loved it. Everybody, we piggybacked. We helped each other. When D.O.C. came into the picture.
You said that Eazy let the snake in the building when the D.O.C. was like the fifth Beatle in the group. What was your beef with him?
He brought in Suge Knight.
Oh, that's true. Okay, so
Suge Knight was his guy. And he brought Suge Knight around. And Suge Knight to me marked the end of fun in hip hop. Before that, it was fun. We all had fun, man.
Yeah.
After Suge Knight got involved, there was no more fun. There were guys sitting in our office with Uzis 24 hours a day. You know, so he changed the entire complexion of what was happening at Ruthless.
Suge was D.O.C.'s bodyguard at the time.
People keep saying that he was, but Suge was everybody's bodyguard. If he was somewhere, and he'll be like, "I'm gonna watch you tonight, but you gonna give me my $300 when we leave." So whoever was there that had some money or had a name, he was their bodyguard. If Mickey Mouse would have been there, he would have been like, "Mickey, I got you tonight, but I want my
300.
Yeah, I want my 300.
Okay, but was he closer to D.O.C. than other people?
Yeah, he's the reason that we even met him.
Would you tell us about meeting Suge Knight and your relationship with him?
There was a guy named L.A. Dre, his brother. When I first moved to California, Dre was living with his aunt. He didn't have a place for me to sleep, so L.A. Dre, his brother, let me sleep on his couch. And Suge was a friend of L.A. Dre's. And Suge was a good guy. We hung out. We'd get drunk. He'd get me in the clubs. And we were thick as thieves in the beginning, bro.
I still think the D.O.C. is probably the greatest pure rapper that ever lived. I really thought that he and Rakim were probably the two best pure rappers of all time. And he was a great writer.
Which songs did you write on Straight Outta Compton?
Man, you'd have to give me a track listing again. Straight Outta Compton, Fuck the Police, Parental Discretion Advised.
Let's see, I'm looking at the track listing. Gangster, Gangster, that was Ice.
That's cute.
If It Ain't Rough?
That's Ren.
Parental Discretion Advised, you said.
Yeah.
Express Yourself.
That's Cube.
Compton's in the House.
That's Dre.
I Ain't the One.
That's Cube.
Dope Man.
That's Cube.
Quiet on Set.
That's Ren.
Okay, so you got a few
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah.
You guys put out Straight Outta Compton.
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys go on the tour.
Mm-hmm.
Were you on the tour with them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I stole 7 minutes at the beginning of their show, no matter whose tour it was, you know what I mean? And, oh, man, it was the best ever.
I bet.
Greatest, because I didn't have a record out. You know
right, and these were like stadiums and stuff
yeah,
like that?
Yeah, man, it was freaking cool. Because as soon as the Doc and the Doctor, as soon as that was the first song I did, right? As soon as that 808 hit, boom, it was just like pandemonium every time, and they didn't know who the hell I was. It was really
didn't know the song or nothing.
It was dope.
You obviously saw the movie.
Yeah.
What do you think was just wrong with the movie? Like, which parts do you think were inaccurate?
50% of the scenes in real life, I was there. Like when they did the skating rink for the first time, that was me there. I don't think D.O.C. wasn't there that early. He hadn't even come out from Texas yet when we were doing all that early stuff.
But wasn't he with the posse though?
That's because Don just threw him on there.
Oh, okay.
See what I'm saying? Okay. Don just threw Feel Fresh Crew. He's part of Feel Fresh Crew.
Okay.
Don just threw that on the album. He wasn't on the cover and none of that. I mean, you know what I mean? It was just
okay.
Yeah. So I don't think he was there that early. Just the random stuff. You know what I mean? Like there were a couple scenes where the early interactions with Suge. You know what I mean? Because Suge was NWA's bodyguard, but they never showed that. They just showed Suge as just being a
D.O.C's road manager.
Road manager, and then, you know, it stuff just skipped around.
Suge kind of got depicted sort of as a bodyguard sometimes, but he was just your friend.
Yeah.
That was just your homie.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but he was kind of a bodyguard, though. He did play that role.
Okay.
Like, and he enjoyed that. You know,
He liked that.
Suge was a big kid. He's a deviant. You know what I mean? Like, he used to tell stories about pissing on football players' legs in the shower and thought that was just the funniest shit in the world. You know what I mean? He was just a deviant. He just liked to do crazy shit and thought it was funny. Me and Suge became notorious in Hollywood.
Okay.
We went through a point where they banned us from every joint. You can go in, we'd be walking up to the thing and they'd be like, no, you know what I mean? #1 record or not, bro, you're not coming in here tonight.
Did you work on your album before or after the tour?
I worked on my album during the tour.
During the tour. So you guys were recording on the
Whenever
bus?
we had a few days, we'd go in and tackle something.
Okay.
You know? And yeah, we were pretty quick, Dre and I. Like, we really were a perfect complement. You know what I mean? Like, his stuff fit me perfectly. I could dance in it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
he would have ideas. Hey, I got an idea that you did this, and I would do it, and bam, we'd record it, and that was it.
Right.
You know, I recorded the 12 songs or whatever. Those were the only songs we recorded ever.
Arabian Prince was in the group during this time.
Yes, I don't remember a lot of Arabian Prince being around when I was around.
Okay, but he was, and he's actually on the album cover for
Yeah,
Straight Outta
yeah.
Compton, and he did contribute. I think Panic Zone was his song and so forth. Now during this time, what was your relationship with Jerry Heller, or did you even have one?
Yeah, I really, you know, he was the old white guy that was around, that was handling business, you know, and so I just followed suit. You know, if all of those guys did it, I did it too, whatever that was, where he's concerned.
Right, and you guys were having the time of your lives.
Yeah, man. Nobody was thinking about business except for Jerry and Eric.
Okay, well, Arabian Prince was the first person to leave. You wrote a few records on Straight Outta Compton.
Right.
You didn't see any royalties or anything else like that off that album?
No, not
because you didn't have any paperwork.
Yeah, nobody had paperwork at the time.
Nobody had paperwork.
So when that record came out, it was just selling and nobody knew anything. And I guess halfway through the movie, you see where he started giving people paperwork on here.
Okay.
You know.
So were you on that tour, the Straight Outta Compton tour?
I was on the first few shows of that tour. Okay. I remember we went out with LL Cool J. I did those. And after a while, when we got back in town after the first part of that tour, that's when I stopped showing up. Because I'm like, I got to make money. I'm tired of like asking for money.
So were you the first NWA member to leave?
Yeah. Yeah, I was the one that left. And I remember I left, and then we had a meeting where I had to go out to Jerry's house, and everybody was sitting there. And it was just like a mutual thing, like I'm out.
So how long after you signed did your first album come out?
The next year.
So it took about a year.
About 7 months, because D.O.C came into the play. You know, when D.O.C came in, he kind of moved me back a little bit because D.O.C was hot. He was on fire.
Right.
So I got moved out 2.5, 3 months, and he finished his album in that little bit of time. D.O.C did his whole album in about 2.5, 3 months.
How did it feel to have your own #1 record, gold record?
Man, it was crazy. You know, coming from Dallas, Texas. Where they don't get a lot of shine there. You know, they still don't to this day. I always thought I was that guy, you know what I mean? So really, I was up here trying to get that, and then, but history was meant to go a different path, you know. But it felt great to have that record out and people respond to it the way they did. It was insane, and that was probably the beginning of the end, so to speak, really, because I think I might have started to believe a lot of the stuff that people were saying.
Yeah.
You know, oh yeah.
You started partying a lot harder?
Oh yeah.
you know.
Drinking a lot more?
Oh yeah.
Drugs?
Yeah. That's when that happened, you know.
Yeah.
Because it was all so fast, you know.
Right.
I didn't know anything about that stuff from where I came from. But when I got to California, it was just beautiful women everywhere, and everybody was trying to, you know, and so I accepted that path, and what happened. I just left these, you know, ladies and doing these things and driving home. And I was driving through Beverly Hills and ran a red light, and the lights hit me. And, you know, I did some maneuvering, you know, but they caught me. They pulled me over, and I was in such a good mood, I just started telling them jokes, you know, and it bugged them out, you know, they laughed, and we kicked it, and they let me go. And if they'd have took my ass to jail that night, I probably wouldn't be here today at the rate I was going, because nobody could tell me anything at that point, you know. I had the best record in the country. I came from nothing.
Yeah.
Now I'm on top of the world. Nobody really helped me do it. Even when I was doing it, I felt by myself because I couldn't really attach myself to the NWA thing. I always got, you're not in the group. You know, and that stung. From my perspective, we were all together in this.
Yeah.
So my win is your win. Your win is my win. I don't want to separate us and compete with one another, because that was the nature of hip hop in those days, you know. So, but I took on that attitude shortly after. Let me show you guys how this thing is supposed to go, you know. And I thought my record was probably the hottest thing since sliced bread, bro. And nobody could tell me no different, you know.
So you ended up falling asleep after the police let you go. You fell asleep behind the wheel, and you hit a tree.
Yeah, actually, I hit the center divider and flew out of the back window of the car and ended up in a tree. Yeah.
I had read that your teeth were actually in
the tree.
In the tree, they had to pull your teeth out of the actual tree.
I don't know if they pulled them out or not, bro. But that's what I heard. The teeth were in the tree. And when I woke up, I didn't have any. So they had to be somewhere.
Okay.
When you have an accident as critical as mine was, that I would imagine that the immediate response is, let's try to save this person's life.
Yeah.
We're going to sedate him or her. We're going to trach them and do what we do. And so, but I was on Lord knows what, and they didn't want to risk, you know, so when they wanted to trach, I was fighting. That I can actually remember. It was a real struggle, and when they were shoving it down, they just dislodged one of the cords, which I found out later in life is actually a pretty common thing, you know what I mean? And if I'd have just left it alone, maybe a year or so later, it might have come back, you know.
What happened though?
Shortly after that, they wanted me to continue to perform the record, right? But I couldn't talk at all, you know?
Yeah.
So I thought if I got, the doctor said if you get the scar tissue removed, then it'll help expedite the healing process. Maybe I can get something back faster. So I went and had the operation, and I found this out many years later, that the doctor that removed that scar tissue removed too much, and so it was never even possible for it to ever heal like it once was.
Now I'm gonna tell you what my favorite song on. Well, I mean, It's Funky Enough was my favorite song on that
Classic
album.
record.
Classic record. Well, my second favorite song on it was The Grand Finale.
Great record.
Incredible record. And that was featuring NWA. That was when everyone kind of got to jump on the record and do their thing.
That was the last one we all did together.
The last record all of y'all ever did together.
Yeah.
Was The Grand Finale.
Yeah.
Wow, I never even thought of it like that.
Yeah, Ice Cube left after. So, and I'm gonna be honest, all those scenes where Cube was telling that, oh, Jerry's doing this, I was the one yelling that. I was the one that had said that. Because I remember I was still cool with everybody. I never had a beef with nobody. Like, that's why you ain't never heard nothing about me, because I never really tripped on it. I'm a grown ass man. I don't want to do this no more. I can go get paid doing my own thing. So I drove back. I remember I met with Jerry on the side and took care of my business and got some money. And I had bought a new car. I bought like a Porsche with no expensive Porsche, but I had a car. I drove out to one of the shows to go see everybody. I was like, where'd you get that from? And I got paid, and then Cube kind of looked at it, and I remember Eazy even drove the car. Eazy was driving up and down. It was at the Pomona Fair or somewhere. He was driving around in it. And soon after that, Cube left. But I was the one blowing that whistle. And I ain't, like I said, I don't try to take nothing from nobody. But the whole time I was there, man, I'm like, this ain't right.
Was there any talk after Arabian Prince left, or was it just?
I wasn't around when we went on the road. Me and Arabian Prince didn't have a whole lot of
interaction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I don't remember that.
Okay.
A lot.
But you and Cube had a lot of interaction.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Cube decided to leave the group.
Oh yeah.
How did you feel personally when it was told that Cube's leaving?
Being in the moment, I was Dre's guy. You know what I mean? So wherever Dre's head was, that's pretty much where my head was. And you kind of know where Dre's head was, but I thought they lost it, because Cube was the spirit.
He was Ice Cube writes the rhymes that I say, like, what I mean? Like,
it's not even the fact that he wrote the rhymes, it was the
energy.
Yeah. The thing that made NWA what it was from my perspective was the angle that Cube approached his songs. You know what I mean?
What was it like when Ice Cube left? Because he was the first person to leave.
I think that was more an emotional time for Dre, because he was just telling the man, just stay, it's gonna be okay. We're gonna get it figured out. We all gonna make it. We gonna get there.
Right.
But I just think he had his own reasons for whatever they are, because I don't know. I just know it was about money, of course.
Yeah.
It was about the attorney, not us having anybody to fight for our sides. And he came and he voiced his opinion. And Dre just said, but man, we came, just hold tight. But he just didn't.
But the naivety of and ridiculousness of his charges, I never answered, because I said nobody could possibly believe that he could leave Ruthless Records, as big a star as he was and as big a company as we were. What do they think, that he didn't send in lawyers and accountants to look at the books? He just said, oh, you guys are stealing from me, so I'm just going to leave, and you could just keep the money.
Both times we did interviews, he told me, he said, look, he goes, I wrote all these songs, and I'm still living at my mama's house. And he said something like he made $30,000 after all these songs.
So let's talk about the $32,000 that he says he made. Okay. Now, if he made $32,000 at that point, that meant that I had made $6,400 or whatever it is. But
you got 20% or something like that.
Correct. But remember what the music business is. The pipeline of the music business is set up so that payments are delayed, money that you earn but isn't due till a future period. I would like to ask Ice Cube now, on that $32,000, that maybe that day, that's all he had earned at that point, because normally royalties are somewhere between 12 to 18 months behind, because the company gets paid from the other company, and then there's 90-day periods, and there's reporting lags and whatever. I would say that he's probably made millions of dollars.
So he got his money later down the road.
Right, and I never got another cent from the day he fired me as his manager and he left the group. I never got another cent. Now let's go to another part of it. He says that what he was basically saying, and I think that I've seen him quoted as saying that he never made what he thought he was worth at Ruthless. And, I have to agree with that particular statement, because let's look at it. He was a fifth member of the group, NWA. I got 20% off the top. That leaves 80% split 5 ways. Okay? So of that 80% split 5 ways, it means he got 16%. If he didn't like his split, then he should have gotten in a group with less members. That's the mathematics of it. He was in a group with 5 members. Now, Eazy-E owned the company, and Eazy-E had a solo career at that point.
I've heard this rumor, and I want to see how true this rumor is. Was the straw that broke the camel's back for Ice Cube leaving the fact that D.O.C. got a solo record before him?
Well, I've never heard. That's an interesting question, and I've never heard that. I think that the reason that he left was, look, we were with Brian Turner.
Yeah.
At Priority. Brian Turner and Pat Charbonnet kept telling him that he should be a solo artist. And while I don't blame Brian Turner, although I blamed him for a while, I don't blame him for that. He enabled Ice Cube to leave, to pursue a solo career. Actually, the next album on our schedule was going to be an Ice Cube solo record.
So you guys get signed to Ruthless, and you guys start working on the album.
Right.
The album comes together. Where is NWA right now? By the time that the album gets done and everything else like that, is Ice Cube still in the group?
Yeah, he's actually still there at this particular moment. I mean, he didn't, like after the tour, he still was going back and forth. He had a lot of issues with what was going on, but he still was around a bit. You know, he didn't leave. Like I remember seeing Cube in New York when we had wrapped Living Like Hustlers, and he was starting to work on, I think it was America's Most Wanted.
Yeah.
He was in there working with Hank Shockley and the Bomb Squad at the time, and we seen him. He's like, we were like, "You gonna stay?" You know what I mean? He's like, "Nah, I'm gone, man." You know, and that was it. That was like the winter of. That was maybe like, I think because we were in New York doing press for Living Like Hustlers, and that may have been like January of 1990. So he was around all the way up to. I didn't see him exit until like January of December '89, January of like 90. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, Cube was the first person I met at NWA. Cube used to come out to my dope spot and kick it with
14, 15-year-old little homie. His mom used to let that boy stay with me like he was grown. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Cube was my little homie. So
we took it personal. We took it personal when he sided with we wanted him to do a record with us. This is the last song on Living Like Hustlers album, which we always do the grand finale, all the songs at Ruthless Records, we do the click records. Yeah. And we was like, Cube, get on. He said, I fell out with Eric. I was like, well, we your homie. And he was like, so that's why we fell out. You know what I mean? And then when he went to the papers and all this and all of that, then me and him got into it, because we were partners, So I really wasn't cool with nobody in NWA but Law and Cube, really. Then I met Ren, then I met Dre and Eric, but then I met everybody else. I wasn't cool. I was cool with because we used to always see this little dude with Law, like, who is dude? And then they blew up, and it was like, okay, y'all, that's dude. I just want people to know that what we did at Ruthless Records, we all loved each other. We were young kids coming up in the streets trying to do stuff, and we loved each other, and we still do. It wasn't like, it's like a brother. You don't fought with your brothers. You don't fought with your sisters. You don't. We done that. We still cool with each other.
Everybody,
none
CPO.
But we always looked at them like that. We always looked at them like more like they were like the downest homies, the coolest people to hang out with. And when that happened, it was like everything got exposed. And around Ruthless, it was like a question mark, really. But then you have to think, like, we're really young and there's a lot of money coming in. So who knows what's going on? Okay. For real. Like, we're mad young. We're like 19, 20. None of us is over 25 at this point. Okay. You know what I mean? So we're like, yo, like, is it the money? Is it ego? Is it, and it was all kind of rumors that swirled around. He wants to be, he wants to be easy. He wants to be the man or whatever. But when you're young, as I look back at it, like when you're young, you think about like, you just want to be the man. We all eating right now, but you don't know what everybody's eating, right. So for us, we was like, hey, well, if he feel like that, everybody got to do what they got to do.
Okay.
Ice Cube wanting to leave is because he wasn't getting paid. That's accurate
real
too.
That's accurate. I'm the first person at Ruthless Records that had a publishing deal. Because I was writing so much.
That's Eazy-E's label.
Yeah, so they gave me a publishing deal. Right. And then I told Cube, I got a publishing deal with this motherfucker now, man. Well, you know, he didn't even know what publishing was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were already on tour as NWA.
Yeah. And then everybody got to realize, like,
So
everybody's
the shit blew
super
up so
young.
fast that everybody was young, and shit blew up so fast that it wasn't a structure.
No.
Okay.
It wasn't nobody's fault that it wasn't a structure. It's just nobody saw it coming.
Yeah, okay, let me ask you this, because unfortunately, Jerry Heller, rest in peace,
Rest in
passed
peace,
away.
Jerry Heller.
They said a lot of his final days was filled with anguish because of the way he was portrayed in his movie. What was your relationship with him, and do you think that was fairly done?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'll say this: Jerry did a lot of great things for us. I think in that stage, like, you know, I was signed to Epic Records. You know, my group was signed to Epic Records.
First rap group on Epic.
We're first rap group on Epic Records. I don't think we could have done that without Jerry Heller. I'll tell you that much. Some cats, some young gang banging dope dealing dudes from Compton couldn't walk up at Epic.
Got a $1 million deal.
You know what I'm
Got a $1
saying?
million
They could come in there
deal
and get it. So Jerry Heller, you know, he did that. Now,
to me, on one note, Jerry Heller was solid. On another note, I could say that he always was pro what he wanted to do. You know, and I think about it, you know, like saying like, okay, as a businessman, you look at it, but you're a young guy coming in, and it's like he's gonna press you and push you all kind of ways to see if you really know what's going on. If you're not, the way we came in is that we came in with lawyers.
Okay.
You know, we came in like that. So we came in with representation. We didn't come in with some back alley deal because we always looked at it like, you know, Jerry Heller's an executive. So we knew, okay, in order to deal with the executives, we got to have our paperwork straight, basically. I've gotten into it with Jerry. When I was, the craziest thing about it, when I was young, we needed something done. And no one could get through to Jerry. And I got on the phone with Jerry, and Jerry said, do you think any other record label will sign you in this town? And I said, hell yeah. It's a whole bunch of them. They in motherfucking line. But fortunately, we signed a deal with you, and we need this money to go right here, and we need it right here immediately. And so he hung up the phone, and he called Eric. He said, you know, I like that guy, Hutch. He, you know, he tells it like it is, and he understands, you know what I'm saying? No one else would stood up to me like that. And I want to say like this. Everybody's decisions that they make is their decisions. It's right for them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But one thing I will say in this interview is that I think, and this is my friend, my dear friend Eazy, I think if it meant for NWA breaking up, that it was a problem with everybody with Jerry Heller, I think you should have let Jerry Heller go. You're at the point where your franchise is a winning franchise. Yeah. And if everyone's having a problem with the GM and the GM's the problem, you need to let him go.
Do you think that Eazy felt like he wouldn't be there at all if it wasn't for Jerry?
His heart. That's his heart. That's his heart,
So
not the business part.
He was being loyal.
There you go. His heart.
It was more of a...
One thing I could say about Eric was that Eric really he had gratitude for people. You know what I mean? If you did something for him, the smallest thing you did for him, he really appreciated it. It would have never happened if what I'm talking about it would have never happened. No one would have had a chance to infiltrate Suge, not anybody.
Okay.
If he would have just been a more seasoned CEO, but he was a young kid from Compton when all of this money came in, he's like, okay, this would have never happened if I'd still be selling drugs.
Yeah.
You know, and I can feel what he's saying, you know.
Sure.
First of all, when Ice Cube decided to leave, in my opinion, it was just a matter of jealousy.
Uh-huh.
But you know, he was younger than them. You know, he talked about how we bought all these mansions and stuff, and he didn't. You know, he lived at home with his parents. You know, he went to Taft High School, and he lived at home with his parents, who were very lovely, educated people. That he was younger than the other guys, so he wasn't ready to go out on his own yet. And then the people at Priority talked him in, and Pat Charbonnet talked him into, you know, trying to pursue a solo career. So when he left the group, it was mutual between him and the group. Now, with Dr. Dre, obviously, that was different. Eazy and Dre were great friends. They had grown up together. And Dr. Dre was the most valuable asset of Ruthless Records. You know, when he left Ruthless because of Suge Knight, you know, who was just an evil guy, when he left Ruthless, you know, it was something totally different. First of all, I never thought that anyone could come between Dre and Eazy because they were so close. But that was my mistake. And, you know, I felt that I had left let Eazy down because I hadn't anticipated Dre leaving.
So Suge started kind of cozying up to Dre, right?
That's not how it started. We started noticing that everywhere we went, we saw Suge. I was scared of him. I would tell Dre, I was very quiet back in those days. I didn't tell him, I just get a bad vibe, you know. I didn't care for him. And Dre, we wasn't in his face or nothing, but we just kept noticing everywhere we were, Suge was there. But it dawned on us, he was with Doc, and Doc knew where we was, because Doc was living with us at some point. We had an apartment at this time. And Doc was living with us, and we was like, okay. But it wasn't as much, but we just kind of kept noticing. And the video shoots, he would come to the video shoots. And we were like, And so eventually, Suge needed to find out who made this all go. He knew Cube couldn't do it without Dre. Dre couldn't do it without Yella. So he, as dumb as people say he is, he's just stupid. Because he figured it out. Dre, he makes this band play.
Right.
And that's when he zeroed in on him.
Okay.
Right when it first started, Suge, our offices were in Woodland Hills. And Suge, I believe, was living in South Central at the time. So him and a group of guys would make their way up to Woodland Hills and walk into our offices. And we weren't really, the offices, we didn't have a lot of security at the offices. We had them on the road, and Eazy had his security, and the group had their security, but we didn't have a lot of security. And then Suge came by and started threatening Jerry and myself. And then Jerry brought in Mike Klein to deal with Suge, which he did very well. All the threats stopped after that.
I remember Jerry telling us correctly. Wasn't Mike a soldier, an Israeli soldier at one time?
Yeah, he was. He was a Mossad. And the first time I ever saw Mike Klein, and we're friends. We're good friends, me and Mike. But the first time I ever saw, there was a picture of him holding up two severed heads. He was in his uniform, So, he was one of those crazy Israeli, army guys, and he had when I met him, he had a real strong crew of guys that worked for him. Big Mike, Animal, and these guys turned into be our main bodyguards, and
they sound like mercenaries.
They all went,
they sound like the fucking Expendables or something.
Yeah. It was crazy.
And I always blamed, him leaving, to me, not being really aware enough to think that a guy like Suge Knight, who was a $70 a day bodyguard at Ruthless, could come between Eazy and Dre. I never thought that could happen, and I blame myself for that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the two big mistakes I made at the company. The other was, and I got to tell you, over 8 years, with the kind of success that we had, that to have two mistakes, of course, but they were big mistakes, Dre leaving, and one day I came into the office, and Mike Klein, who was the Mossad guy, whose daughter's wedding I'm going to tomorrow night, but I came in the office, and he and Eazy were talking, and I said, what's going on here? And Eazy said, this guy Suge Knight? I said, yeah. He says, well, I'm going to kill him. He said, this guy's going to be a problem, and I think I should kill him. And I said, let me think this. I said, let me think this thing through. I said, first of all, we're doing $10 million a month with 6 employees. We don't even have a typewriter in the office. I said, we're the most successful startup record company in the history of the music business, and you want to kill this guy? I said, that just doesn't make any sense to me. And you know something? I should have let him kill him.